Welcome to episode 7 of Between Casts Fishing Podcast. I'm your host, Karlin. Luke is on vacation today, so this episode might look a little different than what you're used to. I'm going to do an intro, and then we're going to get into our guests later in the show. I just wanted to come on and give you guys a super quick update on what is going on in the fishing industry this week. If you're following a lot of what's going on, this might be some review or old news. If you're not, sit down, grab a cup of coffee, and listen to what's going on. It's a pretty wild series of events. So we mentioned it previously on the show, dual threat fishing. The idea was top athletes in the sport get paired together, and there's a couple of different events they fish, and it's a team event. Big money, supposed to be no entry fees, and essentially what was going on where these guys were showing up, they were fishing the event, they fished the first two events, and people weren't receiving their checks for what they earned based on what they placed. So it sounds like earlier last week, people started not receiving these checks, and they went and fished the second event, and the checks continued to bounce. Everyone then became obviously super suspicious of what's going on. And turns out they are looking for this guy named Ethan Phillips, possibly named Tim Lynn. And he's the gentleman, I guess you can't really say gentleman. He is the individual that was responsible for setting up this event and essentially conned these anglers out of what money they had in as far as their deposits and their lodging and the tournament winnings that they were supposed to have earned. There's a ton of confusion right now, and I think a lot of it is just due to the amount of information coming in and out. My original understanding of this trail was that it was completely entry fee free. So I've kind of listened to some of the guys that have been fishing these events, and some of them are up to 30 grand. They were saying this is what they had in deposits. So I'm a little confused of if this was actually supposed to be no entry fee, or if this Ethan Phillips gentleman guy jerk was trying to front some of the cost on some anglers and giving other anglers no entry fee to kind of hop up the event. Honestly, kind of a sad week for our sport. Not only are these guys not getting paid, these guys do this for a living, right? This is how they make their livelihood. But it's just a kind of a scar on everything that we kind of hold dear as bass anglers, right? We have an expectation when we show up to the ramp and give our money to these tournament directors that, our money isn't going to go walk away while we're out on the boat. So I really feel for these guys, and I hope that some of them are able to recoup some of the money that they had into it. But as of now, from what I'm hearing, it's not likely. This guy is in the wind. They're trying to figure out who he is. It sounds like the Ethan Phillips identity that he'd given everybody was not his actual name. It may have been one of his kids' names or another person's name. And there's a bunch of pictures of him that went out on Facebook, and they think his name might be Tim Lynn. So I don't know exactly as far as what law enforcement is going to do, if these anglers are all going to get together and try to come after this guy for the money that is owed. My guess is that it's not there. I don't know if his original plan was to just con these anglers. I mean, these are some of the top guys in our sport. They fish professionally for a living, and I have a very hard time believing that this guy was able to pull off this entire thing and get all these guys to come in and pay. So I don't know if his original plan was maybe to start it out in the first 2 weeks on basically borrowed money and try to sell it to another kind of tournament trail, or maybe there was some investor or some sponsor that was supposed to come in and help with the rest. But right from the get-go, like, the coverage was very hard to find. There wasn't a whole lot of information on who was sponsoring the event, so But I think for most of us, we were excited to kind of see what it turned into. We loved the idea of like a very competitive team trail to watch. Luke and I said it here on the show. We were excited for it. So, um, unfortunately, it's not how it ended up. So yeah, I know they're collecting some information. So if you do hear anything as far as who this guy is or whose identity, I would say report it to the proper channels. Down one of the tournaments was down in Florida. I think that was the first event down there in Okeechobee. So don't know if those law enforcement officers down there are leading any of this, but pretty wild, pretty wild. Um, and I really hope this doesn't. I mean, it's going to. It's going to leave a stain on the sport for a while. Um, and I hope it gives a lot of us a wake up call too, to just you got to be aware of what's going on around you. And a lot of the people in this came right out and said this guy was convincing. He said all the right things, you know. But once they finally met him, they're like, yeah, the guy kind of gave me the heebie-jeebies, right? But it's hard because we have this expectation of trust, between us and these directors. So I'm hoping that it doesn't really. I'm hoping that it doesn't affect a lot of the really good trails that are out there right now and add an extra layer of mistrust in tournament organizations. I believe we're in a place where we need to continue to have people and show up to these tournaments so that we can continue doing what we love to do. This sport doesn't work without participation. This isn't one of those deals where you can have one person go out there. No, these bigger tournaments, you need the couple hundred boats, right? So we'll see. I'll keep you guys in the loop the best I can. If not, go check it out. There's a ton of stuff out there. It's like a real life kind of one of those true crime situations with a bass fishing setting. So hopefully these guys get squared away. If not, that's too bad. They are still some of the best we have in the sport. And but we're going to get into our guest here. Our guest is going to be Karlin Foley. She's the Stowe bass fishing coach. So stay tuned. I hope you guys enjoy the interview, and we will see you on the other side. All right. Welcome to episode, I think, 7 of the Between Casts Fishing podcast. I'm your host, Colin. No Luke today. He decided that he was actually going to go on vacation. We talked about a little bit the last episode, so he's out this week. But we do have a very special guest today, Karlin Foley. She is one of the bass fishing coaches for the Stowe High School team. So today's episode is going to be mostly geared towards what it's like being a coach of a high school team, what it's like for the anglers on the water, as well as like what can we do to help them and support our communities in this whole thing. So welcome to the show. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you. All right. I'm Karlin Foley. I'm from Jeffersonville, Vermont. I coach Stowe High School bass fishing along with another coach who competes in a lot of bass fishing tournaments around Vermont. I just started coaching last year. Last year was my first season. It was also Stowe High School's first bass fishing season. So it was kind of on a whim. We kind of had to throw together the program. We did our best, and honestly, it was so much fun. It was amazing bringing the kids out. I started fishing when I was like probably 5. I have a camp on a pretty small pond, so I grew up pretty much catching only smallmouth bass. So even taking the kids out on the lake, I don't get to do that often because I'm pretty constricted to my town. So it was an experience for me going out and like being exposed to more things that I'm typically not exposed to.
How'd you get involved in the coaching?
Okay, I got involved because one of my friends is actually a teacher at Stowe High School, and I met her working together someplace else, and I I pretty much go out fishing like as many early mornings as I can. And she is also like an early morning riser and she wanted things to do. So I decided to teach her how to bass fish.
Nice.
And she also coaches hockey at Stowe High School, so she's pretty into the coaching aspect
Cool.
there. So I taught her how to fish, and then we like kept thinking about it. We brought it up in originally in 2024. Like we were like, yeah, we should totally start a team. We didn't end up doing it, and then she messaged me probably July and was like, we should totally do this. And I was like, okay, I'm officially down to do it. Um, so it was kind of rough, like creating the program, but once we got all the
Yeah.
pieces together, it was good. Yeah, so we started regularly, like when like preseason would start for regular fall sports. The kids are just starting school. So I think we started like the first or second week of school, whatever the date is that you're allowed practices. So the first couple of practices, we were just at Waterbury Reservoir, from the
Cool.
shore. We were kind
Yeah.
of like just trying to get to know everyone. We were trying to judge the kids on like their skill levels and um, how well they know things about fishing. So the first start of the season was kind of like slow going. But yeah, that was my first year coaching at Stowe High School. It was an amazing experience.
Yeah. So what would you say? So you said you grew up fishing some ponds, and then you start having you get basically thrown a bunch of kids, right? And you gotta show them how to operate the boat, right? How the trolling motor, all that stuff. Well, how was that transition like?
The transition, so the fishing aspect wasn't as hard for me. Obviously, like I fished lakes before, it's just not what I primarily do. I don't have enough time to drive out to a lake every day. But going to Waterbury Reservoir was kind of an experience. Again, I'm only 21, so going with the kids that are not that much younger than me,
Right.
they were super respectful. It was kind of just like teaching them. Some of the kids needed to know like the basics of like tying a knot, what like they don't know what certain lures are. So that was kind of like a turning point for me because I don't know, I just go into a fishing aisle and I buy random things. I like trying new things. And they were also open to trying new things. So the turning point for me was like I kind of did it as like a free time thing that I did as like my own way to relax. It was just a hobby for me. So then like turning and trying to teach people seriously was kind of a learning point for me because I used to just like teach my friends when we were just hanging out and having fun. And then actually gearing kids to compete against each other was a turning point for me because I also do not do competitions.
Sure.
But luckily, the other coach, Alec, is very experienced in tournaments. So I feel if I didn't have him, it probably would have been more disastrous. But he was also like he did more of the boat things than I
Yeah.
did.
Yep. Yeah.
Um, he would take out. I think he took out. So once we picked our 4 kids for the tournaments, we started focusing on getting them on the boat as much as possible. And we still wanted to include all the other kids, of course. So I was back on shore with most of the kids. And again, there was 12, 15 kids. So it was a lot because he had 4 of them and I had the other half of them. So it was hard to give like my individual attention to each and every single person. But each practice got easier because they all got more comfortable with each other and then they
Hmm.
started teaching each other how to do things. So that was definitely a learning curve for me was teaching what I know to other people because I'm
Yeah.
not used to doing that at all.
Right. That's pretty neat because you go back and like, and this isn't just for fishing. This is just a lot of sports in general, right? It's like, oh, somebody taught me, right? So like for me, like my dad taught me how to fish, right? And he probably sat there with me tying the knots and doing all the things, and
Yeah,
like it progressed to there, and then I teach a couple of my buddies, and it's to me part of it is it's very cool that we can do this full
yeah,
circle, right? And going
totally.
back to give back to like honestly, like when I did the high school fishing way back when, 10 plus 11, whatever, it's 12 years ago now. It wasn't like this. Like it felt like it was just starting. And it wasn't necessarily as like organized and competitive. And you didn't see it built up to the level where, kids are getting coverage and like
Right.
social media presence and like all of these crazy things that are setting them up for this next level of fishing. Um,
Right.
so it's super cool to see just like it's another area of this sport and growth within basically our youth. And I've always been super passionate about teaching kids this sport.
Right. Well,
When
that's
I was
something
in high.
I always wanted to do too because I don't know, I look at other people that don't know how to fish and like growing up, I was raised to do things outside
Mhm.
and they look at me like I'm not crazy, but like how do you know how to do that?
Yeah,
So like for me teaching other people to do it and some kids also don't have the access to people that would
100%.
necessarily teach them that. So I think it's really cool to present them the opportunity to be able
Mhm.
to get that like through their school system. I think is really important if they weren't raised to like if they weren't taught these things, if their parents or family members didn't take them out and do those things, where else would
Right.
they learn it? Which I think was really important to have in the high school system. And especially I don't know, obviously I played sports in high school, but if like that was a thing for me, I 100% would have stopped whatever I was doing and went and done that. And I think it's just a completely different, it's still sport, but it's a completely different approach. And it's just a different level of
Yeah.
things. And I think that's really cool and super important.
What do you think the biggest difference between fishing as I'm going to call it a varsity sport, a fishing as a varsity sport compared to something like track and field or like you think your traditional kind of varsity
Right.
sports?
I think in other varsity sports in high school, you were held to a like physical standard, which I mean, obviously you're playing a physical sport. And I think the difference is I feel like with fishing, it can go one way or another. And I feel like you're faced with different like obstacles. Like let's say like the weather is weird, like you have to figure out how to work with the weather. Like in other sports, you don't work with the weather, you just do it. But in bass fishing, you can do different things to succeed.
Yeah. And I like what you said there too about like the physicality of it or
Yeah,
it is it's one of those sports like anyone can do it.
exactly.
Right? Like it to me, it's one of the most fair sports there is, right? It's
Right, 'cause
you and
literally anyone could walk in and participate, and
yeah,
it's also co-ed. So you're not
it's
set apart,
awesome.
like, from boys and girls, and I think that's also really important, being a girl who really likes fishing. Like, I don't have friends that are girls that fish. It's just, like, not something I've personally come across, not saying it's not out there, but
Yeah,
it's definitely cool to see them together and, like, pushing it more on girls that like this is something that they can do and succeed at, but still be co-ed and work together with the boys. And I feel like I don't know, some of the kids on the team that were boys grew up doing it a lot and they were like they taught a girl on the team. Like it was like I don't know how else to explain that, but I feel like usually in high school sports there's such a divide between boys and girls.
yeah,
And so I thought that that was also cool that it's co-ed.
right. And that's you look at everything, even up to professional and Olympic levels. It's men's sports and women's sports, right?
Right.
And
It's a
there's very
harsh
little,
too.
right, kind of that mix match, right? And
Right.
it's cool to see that to me it's what fishing is all about. It's
Mhm.
the idea of people coming together, and that's why the community that this sport creates is just one of my favorites. And because it
Right,
no one really cares like who you are, what you look like, any of that. It's just you show up to the ramp, let's go fish, right?
right.
And
And to touch on that, like, you can win or lose, and no matter what, a day fishing's a good day. Like, you know what I
that's
mean? You
right.
come off, you weigh in, you didn't win, you still had an amazing time.
Exactly. And hopefully, right, and we'll get into some of this, right? You learn something, especially for these younger guys and girls. It's just, like I fished tournaments when I was really young and now coming up to almost 30,
Mhm.
right? It's that whole for me, it's like it's important to be competitive, right?
Right.
And versus like for some guys, like maybe it's just to get out there and be like, no, I was able to catch 5 fish today, and like
Yeah,
that's a win, right?
right.
Um, So it's all good stuff.
Yeah.
And
No, totally.
you know, what how do you guys structure your season out?
So I don't remember like the exact dates of both the competitions.
Hmm.
So you start when like coaches, the VPA regulations, when you're allowed to like have a preseason, that's when your practices can begin. So what we did first was, I don't know, we kind of just met the team, and then we fished from shore. That was also kind of like a safety thing. We
Yeah.
needed to see the kids and like make sure that they were responsible before putting them in open water. Um, so we did shore fishing for I think the first 2 or 3 weeks. We were just on the shore and like literally just doing the basics, which I think is also super important because like if you're ever getting frustrated, like you're fishing, you're not catching anything. I feel like just like going back to the basics is just like it's an important thing to go back to when nothing else is like I don't want to say not working, but when you like feel like I don't know, discouraged or something, like you still have things that you can do no matter what.
It's the most overlooked part of bass fishing, in my
Mhm.
opinion, is the basics.
It is.
And
Totally.
we've said it on some other shows. It's like the best fishermen I know are like they're not worried about hitting something. They're making these casts like they're
Yeah.
putting the baits where they need to be the first time, not the 12th time, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. It's just especially as a younger angler, right? It's so I don't know. You turn on the TV, you turn on your phone, whatever, they're all on their phones.
Mhm.
And it's you see all of this stuff coming at you, live scope. I gotta have this boat. I gotta have this rod. I gotta have this lure, right? And like that's all great. And I'm lucky enough to have used some of that equipment,
Right.
but it doesn't matter if you can't do the basics.
No. No. I like that like kind of hits me hard because I just grew up like you just use what you have.
Hmm.
Obviously, I like to go out. I've spent an ungodly amount of money on fishing poles and fishing equipment, but I always go back to the same thing.
Yeah,
I always do. I am like I don't know, I'm just always going back to the same brand, the same plastics. Like I use what I know works and I do like to try new things, but going back to like what I know and what I'm comfortable with, it's all just like what you're comfortable with and what you know you can be successful in.
yeah. It's such a confident sport.
It is. It is.
Like for me, like when times get tough, I
Mhm.
tie a chatterbait on and I
Yeah.
go beat up grass. Which is what I
Or
do,
even
and I
like
cover a lot of water doing it.
Senkos, I don't know what it is, but
Yeah,
I have never had a bad day on a Senko. Like,
never.
if I'm trying
It's
lures and I'm just, like, not getting it,
yeah,
I just go back to a Senko and my day is fine.
right. I've
Yeah.
seen guys in some pretty like big money tournaments come in and they're like, "Yeah, blah 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 blah." I'm like, "What'd you get him on?" They're like, "Honestly, 4-inch Senko. It saved my butt today." And it's
Not me,
like,
everyone always says that. They're like, "What do you use?" I'm like, "Well, I don't wanna sound stupid because like, I mean, I don't wanna say I'm not good at fishing, but I don't know, I spend most of my time doing it. I feel like I
yeah,
know what I'm talking about. And then they're like, you just use Senkos." And I don't just use Senkos, but that is just my go-to.
to go to right. And it's one of those you can pull it through the grass, you can flip it under docks, you can skip it anywhere. It's a
Yeah.
great little
And
bait.
if it gets stuck, I don't know, if something happens to it,
Whatever,
whatever.
tie a
I'm
new one
not
on.
it's not like a really a loss to me.
No, no, 100%. Uh, what? So you guys got this program started.
Mhm.
You said first year. What was some of the biggest hurdles of getting the team started?
So, for us was, like, the parents had a lot of questions, and we didn't really know
Sure.
answers to them because it was
Cool.
a brand new program. Things that were hard to get going for us was, like, for the kids to operate the trolling motor, they have to have a valid boating license.
Okay.
I feel like that was a pretty big it wasn't a pretty big thing, but some kids had them, some kids didn't.
Hmm.
And it was also, like, it was hard to be something that you could, like, push on people because I don't remember the exact cost, but I'm pretty sure it's, like, 60, $80,
Yeah,
something.
that sounds about right. Yeah.
So, obviously, we're not gonna be like, "This is a requirement for you to be on the bass fishing team," but it did
Sure.
limit the kids, that were eligible to compete.
Hmm.
in the competitions because to compete you had to have a boating license, obviously. So that was kind of tough, but not super. Another one of our not a lot of kids had, obviously, if they were just starting out, like some people would show up without fishing poles. I don't know, just basic equipment, which is honestly
Yeah.
expected. Like we did expect that. Like personally for me, I would probably bring like 8 fishing poles to practice and made sure that
Yeah.
every single kid had something. Um, I think our biggest struggle was finding a boat. Like we didn't
Yes.
have a second boat.
Okay.
We needed a second boat. I have a boat, but it has to be mine isn't like long enough, like it doesn't meet the requirements or something.
Sure.
So finding a second person to bring out the kids on a boat. I think that was the hardest time. And like I could find boats, but I'm not like I don't know. A lot of people I know have extremely nice bass boats. So I'm like I don't feel comfortable driving that because I don't
Right.
like I will, but it was just that was probably the biggest frustrating thing was boats. And we had one like boat that it was Alex and we that was like our primary boat. Yeah, finding a boat and finding a secondary person to drive the boat and bring the kids out was extremely hard for us.
Yeah. And that's it's yeah, I can see that. Do you guys get like how does it work for volunteers as far as like boats
So
go?
anyone can volunteer. The regulation is that you have to be fingerprinted. So that was kind of an obstacle because,
Oh,
like, yeah, I could
okay.
ask someone, "Can you do me a favor and bring these kids out?" But then, can you also do me a favor and go to a police department, make an appointment, get fingerprinted,
Go
pay
get clearing check. Yeah.
$35? Yeah, so that was kind of like
Okay.
the rough spot for us. It did work out well though because we ended up picking 4 anglers and then we ended up doing a substitution
Yeah.
halfway through the
Cool.
competition, so we still got to have 4 kids fish.
That's awesome.
So we made our way
All right.
around it. I think it definitely put us at a little bit of a disadvantage because they had to come all the way back to the launch, switch out people.
Sure.
So it definitely
Yeah.
would have been a lot better, but that would have been 2 separate teams entered. So like then we would have had to enroll like a varsity team and a JV team if we did have 2 boats. But still, it would have been better to get more kids out on the water and not have to be like so selective.
Right. What did it go like what was your expectation? Like you get into it, you're like, we're gonna do this bass fishing team. And what were you thinking?
Honestly, I just didn't expect it to be such a big thing.
Yeah.
Like knowing Alec, I was like, okay, he's like such a good fisherman. That's all he does. I enjoy fishing. Like we're gonna crush. Like this is gonna be perfect. But then you show up. There was 20 varsity teams competing. Plus, there was like I think there was like 12 or 14 JV teams. So there was like 34 boats in the water,
That's
all being launched
yeah.
at the same time, and I was like,
That's awesome.
wow. Um, I don't know. I guess I didn't expect like how competitive it really was.
Yeah.
Like
How did
kids
you
showed up in full on
oh yeah.
like they had the whole outfits. Yeah, I was
That's my
like,
high school jersey.
yeah. I was like, I'm not entirely sure how this is gonna go now that we're here. But honestly, we didn't do bad. I think state championship we came in 9 out of 21. Like we didn't do
Nice.
terrible for our first year.
Yeah.
I
That's
mean, I was so
awesome.
happy with it. Even if we got in 21, I would have been completely fine with
Right. Well,
that. I think like for me, the importance of it was just getting the kids out there.
yeah.
I think next year, I think I would like to focus on the more competitive part of it for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was not what I expected. Was just like how competitive it actually was and how like big of a thing it ended up actually being.
What I'm trying to think about how to ask this. When you that's not the best way to answer. Or that's not the best way to ask that. Like, did you see these kids throughout the day, right?
Hmm.
And you see these boats come in. You see these kids with the jerseys on the
Hmm.
boats and the whatever. They may have what may looks like more than somebody else, right? How do you keep the kids focused on the fishing?
Honestly, I didn't really have a hard time with that. Like when I first got there, we got the kids on the boat. I was like, "You guys are gonna do great. Like you're gonna crush them." Like I was just like kind of hyping them up to like not even think about what anyone else was doing.
Yep.
Like we were just like you got it. And we also like obviously since we didn't have a second boat, I was um on shore the whole competition, but we were like texting back and forth, me and Alec, and
Yeah.
like every single time they caught a fish, I was like, "You guys are doing great."
It's
It was just
awesome.
like good. I think just going into it with a good attitude, because either way you're gonna have fun, whether it's competitive
Yeah.
or not. Um, but the kids did a really good job of like staying focused on what they were doing, and they had a pretty nice boat that they were on too. So I don't think they were like that discouraged.
Right.
It was just that
Right. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
intimidating.
Yeah.
Like they had
Right.
full on gear, and we had jerseys too, but it was like I don't know, nothing compared to what other schools had, which was completely okay. And the kids did amazing.
It's
Like
awesome.
they weren't even looking at other schools. They were just like they were getting their they were I don't know, when I got there they were like going through their tackle boxes, making sure they had everything. Like I feel like they did a really good job of staying prepared and like focused on what they were doing versus what
Yeah.
everyone else looked like and what they were doing. I don't
How
think they were
how
very intimidated.
yeah, how are the kids splitting the trolling motor time usually? Like do they have like a little strategy that they come up with, or is there like one kid kind of manages the boat, the other kid casts,
So
vice
we
versa?
had I know during state championships we couldn't sub because only one of the kids had his boating license, so he had to
Okay.
stay on the boat the whole
Yep.
time. So I think he was just operating the trolling motor, stopping, casting. I don't know.
Yep. Doing
I
his
don't
thing.
know.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure how it went, but he did have to stay on the boat the whole time.
Mhm.
Which honestly, I think he had no problem with doing it. I don't think he wanted to come off anyway.
Right.
But yeah, he we had one kid that mainly operated the trolling motor, which went well.
What do you think most people misunderstand when they hear high school bass fishing?
So every single time I've told someone that I coach high school bass fishing, they're like, "How do you like? What do you mean you coach fishing?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't. I guess I'm kind of just there to like supervise." I feel like people think of it and they're just like, "How is that a thing?" Or like, I guess they just don't picture like what. I think they just picture like maybe a couple kids. Like, I don't think they imagine it to be as big of a thing as it is. I don't think people completely understand like that we do practices like we prep the kids. It's not just like throwing them out there and being like, "Okay, like go learn how to fish." Like that's just not realistic, but again, you don't know until you see it.
Do you think that high school fishing could ever be in the same category as like high school football? Like get the
Honestly, I
same
hope
level
so.
of like notoriety?
I think that if it keeps growing, like the bigger it gets, I think eventually it could definitely come to that level. Ma only started this in 2019. So in 7 years, minus it probably wasn't even a thing during COVID. So what, six
Mhm.
years?
Yeah.
I feel like it's already bigger than people would imagine it to be. And I think at some point it could definitely become a more popular sport, like any other high school sport. I think it
Right.
just comes down to like making people aware that it's a thing. And I think
What
that's what's important.
what would you say is one of the best ways that people could support, I guess, the high school fishing?
Okay, wait, 1 second. Sorry, my boyfriend was in the kitchen just being really loud and it was really bothering me.
That's okay. Put him in his place.
I did. Okay. What was the question? It was
What
oh,
what do you
ways to
what's a
support.
what yeah, how
Okay.
can we support our local teams here?
I mean, I feel like honestly just showing up or even just like offering. Like, if you know that your local high school has a bass fishing team, like, literally offering to help out. I feel like a lot of schools there was 2 teams that didn't show up because they couldn't find a boat.
Right.
I feel like if you have the resources to help your local schools, even just showing up for them, offering to take the kids out, offering to teach them is can go a long way. Like for me, I literally was just asked and I was like, I would love to do that. And now it's a thing at another high school. I think just offering what you know and I don't know, like if you own a boat, offer it. Like just offering your own resources that you have to the younger generation can go a really long way. Um, I don't think there's like any way you can like I'm not entirely sure. I think during the season we took like some donations to get kids like their own set of fishing poles. One of the parents got us a 50% off discount to St. Croix, I think.
Nice.
Um,
Cool.
so we got like cool things like that, and that was really helpful, like getting the kids discounts. I
Yeah.
don't know. Just offering them like what you know, what you have can really go a long way. It can just make this whole sport grow even bigger.
100%. That's awesome. Yeah, like I'm so glad that this sport is like going into the younger
Yeah,
generations because these kids are coming into these high school events, now going into these college teams
yeah.
and coming out and beating the brakes off some guys.
Yeah, I was like trying to get pictures, but I was like, I don't think I can share pictures because it has students in it.
Sure.
But
Yep.
when I tell you some of these kids caught insane largemouth bass,
Yeah.
I was standing there like jaw dropped. Like
Yeah.
these kids are absolutely amazing. And they're 16, 17. Like I can only imagine what they're gonna be like in a couple of years.
Yep.
It was
Uh,
absolutely crazy. Like these kids are capable of so much.
Yeah. These kids are coming out of these programs and are fishing at the most competitive levels of the sport.
Yeah. And that's
It's just nuts.
amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's you know, it's put some of these, not only high schools but colleges you've never heard of
Right.
on the map, right? And it's these some
Yeah.
couple of them are small little liberal arts
Mhm.
places or whatever, small little high schools in the middle of wherever.
Yeah.
Um, and it gives people something to be excited about,
Oh, yeah,
right?
totally.
Which is awesome.
And it's
Uh,
also just, like, another outlet for kids, like, I don't know, I feel like it's, like, literally scientifically proven that fishing, like, relieves anxiety, improves mood. I feel like that's a really important outlet. It's just not as stressful as a traditional high school sport,
yeah,
which is, like, extremely important because it's not pressure all the time, the physical. It's just you go out and it's just it does so much for teens' mental health too and development, like it really does. And I think that people honestly skip over that factor too.
right. I think that's a huge. I think that's how the high school fishing should be,
Right.
right? Like once you start climbing up that ladder, I'll call it of tournament fishing, right? The pressure comes quick.
Oh
And
yeah.
like you definitely want to be able to you don't want them to be unprepared in a
Mhm.
way, but I think the college level is where they can learn to deal with that pressure.
Right.
The high school level to me is get there, make some friends, make some connections, learn
Right.
how it works, right? Like like we just talked about, the fundamentals of
Yeah.
the tournament fishing, right? And sure, there's gonna be teams out there that may be more advanced and may be here or whatever. Um, but for the 98% of high schools out there, you know, learning good sportsmanship, learning to work with others, right? Learning to be on a boat for 8 to 10 hours with the same person, right? These are
That's
all
what I
really
was
good life
also gonna
lessons.
say. It like makes them focus on something other than a classroom. Like they're focusing for hours in a completely different environment
Yep.
than they are typically expected to be focused in.
Yeah.
And that's super important. And another thing that they learn, which I like am so supportive of them learning, is just like ethics and how to respect wildlife, and like that is super important because if you don't know how to handle a fish, like just not harming wildlife instead of appreciating it and handling it correctly. At the tournaments, like Fish and Games there's like there was like 6 game wardens, I'm pretty sure. They take the fish from the kids in the bags and dump them, and then they go back and release them,
Yep.
which was super important. Like the kids learn how to respect wildlife and how to treat it, and like they just and that's super important because a lot of people don't grow up being taught those things.
No, and that is one of the biggest parts of our sport is that the resource can disappear.
Oh
Like
yeah.
you're not going to have a football stadium just one day dry out and
Mhm.
swim away,
Right.
right? Where we could very much have at any given day. Like you look at some of the stuff that's going on the Potomac River right now, they're having a huge contamination problem with sewage, right? We have problems of our own on Lake
Yeah.
Champlain.
I was
And
just gonna say that the water level this summer was super low.
yeah,
That also made it. I think that definitely changed things.
right?
Um, I'm pretty sure that the winning championship team like said that they found like the absolute deepest water that they could find. Like
Yeah.
that was their strategy, and it was super hard to do that, especially because you have boundaries, obviously. And we were in between all we launched out of Apple Island, that's where all the
Hmm.
competitions are. So we're right in the
Yep.
middle of all the islands. So there it was hard to find like I don't know, the water level was not the average water level that it typically is, and especially between all the islands, it was really hard to find like super deep points. So I think that was
Yeah.
definitely a struggle for them. And then the kids also realized like this isn't normal. Like this water level
Yeah.
is not normal. So it definitely makes them realize like what's going on around them.
And that's the sport too, right? We just had 2 years in a row where
Mhm.
it flooded all
Yeah.
year. We had more
Yeah.
water on Lake Champlain than we've ever had.
Uh-huh.
And now this year it's like,
Nothing.
okay, like
Yeah.
how are you gonna adapt, right?
Uh-huh.
So that's all really good stuff. And
Yeah.
you know, I I am super excited. So this is something I know you reached out to me last year. I felt super bad that I couldn't help
Oh, yeah.
because I have my own schedule going on and it just so this is something like I'm super excited to hopefully get involved in more with this year.
Yeah, totally. If
Um,
you can ever
uh,
get involved, let me know because we'll definitely take you.
yeah, it'll be one of those where it comes down again to I have
Yeah.
my schedule plan for the year, but I'm not doing as much of my local stuff as I did last year.
Right.
I
Well,
kind of
like,
got rid
I
of
was
that.
super lucky to be able to fit that into my schedule too.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
a normal person could not just like I mean, a lot of people coach sports and whatever, but that's not a lot of people do not have time for that.
yeah. It's
So it
hard.
was
Like,
something I was super fortunate to be able to make time for, and I'm glad I
right.
did.
What's the average? So if there's people listening and looking to possibly get into this, what's the average time commitment you'd say for a coach or a volunteer?
So honestly, it really depends on your team. We tried to do 2 practices a week, some practices we only had 1. If we could only do 1 practice, we would typically go to Waterbury Reservoir because we were doing it after school. So it was really like 3:30 on. So we really only had from like 3:30 until dark. So around that time frame, once or twice a week. What we ended up doing was we would fit long days in. We would go out on the lake. I think we launched out of St. Albans once or twice. Those we did long days, but it really does not need to be that time consuming. We like it was the kids' first year. We wanted them to we tried to do like a mock competition to like try and get them to know what they were fishing. Um,
Sure.
but honestly, it's not as time consuming as a typical sport because typical sports have practice every day after school,
Right.
games every weekend typically. That is not it. You are totally open to make your own schedule and what works for you. And that's what I found was like super helpful.
And then what are you said there was a length requirement on the boats. What are those?
I believe it was 14 feet.
14.
Mine's only 12. But yeah, it's 14 feet. I should have written that down because there wasn't
It's
even
all right.
that many. I'm pretty sure the length
Yeah.
was like the biggest thing because
Yeah.
obviously you're going out in the lake. Yeah, I don't specifically remember everything. It was pretty much, I think the main things were like 14 feet. Obviously, the kids are required to wear life jackets at all
Hmm.
times.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, the competition days I think are literally just the most time consuming because you get there early in the morning. I think I got to the launch at like 6:30
Hmm.
ish.
Yeah.
And then you're there till 4:30. Like JV docks at 2:30 or 2:45, and varsity docks at like 3. So the kids are out there for 8 hours. So I think just the competition days are like really what's the most time consuming for everyone. But it's totally worth it. It's just 2 weekends. And then typically, I guess in the past, there's been like a twin state game or competition, Vermont versus New Hampshire. They didn't end up scheduling one this year, but in the past, I think that that has been a thing.
Cool.
So
Yep.
typically, overall, 3 competitions a year to qualify to fish in the state championship. You have to fish in the prior tournament, but obviously that's more a student regulation than a coach regulation. But yeah, you can literally volunteer to just take kids out, and I think that's also super fun. Like if you're someone that likes to fish, like what's better than taking out a group of kids and seeing what they
100%.
catch? And then
Right.
like the weigh-in is so much fun too. Like I think that's the best part. It's just everyone's walking up with bags, and then you weigh them all in, and they say them over the microphone. You get your picture taken. Like it's just a really good environment, and it is competitive. But it was such a good environment that like no one was being like nasty with each other.
Yeah.
All the teams were like, "Oh, where'd you guys go? What'd you guys catch?" Like it was just
Yep.
like more of a. Everyone was super nice. It's just a really good environment overall because I think everyone's there for the same reason. Like, yeah, people want to
100%.
win, but they're there because they enjoy doing
Yeah.
it.
They want to fish first. Right? That's every all of these weigh-ins. Like at the end of the day, it's like even once you get older, it's like at the end of the day, we're all just fishermen.
Yeah,
We all sit there and we do it even at like the BFL level. We're
yeah,
just sitting there and it's all the guys afterwards. They come and hey, what did you guys?
yeah,
What'd you do?
yeah,
You went into that creek. I went into that creek too. And it sucked up there. And I'm like, yeah, it did.
yeah, yeah. No, and I think it's definitely like I don't know. White River Valley won last year. I think their total
Yeah,
total weight was 21.8. I think.
that's a good bag.
And I believe it was Richford actually had the top weight. I'm pretty sure it was 22 point something, but they docked 4 minutes late because their modem on their
Oh,
boat broke.
that's tough. Been
And
there.
another team
That's
pulled them in, which was also
yeah,
amazing. So they
yeah.
got, I forget the requirements, but I think it's like it's somewhere between 2 and 4 pounds. I think every minute you're late, it's a pound off of your,
Pound. Yeah,
yeah.
sometimes yeah, pound or yeah, that's about
Yeah, so
right.
they got 4 pounds taken off. So
Well,
Richford technically was the state champion, but White River beat them. But 21 pounds is still an amazing bag.
that's a great day.
Yeah, no, they did so good. Their lunker was 4.5.
Hmm?
I think they had a really good
Yeah.
day. Yeah,
What is one piece of advice you'd give to maybe somebody sitting here listening and be like, I want to start my team at my school or in my community?
just do it. You will be surprised how many people will sign up just because it's a new sport.
Yeah.
There was
Uh,
there was people who had never fished before and was just like, this just sounded fun, something to do. It's also some graduation requirements for high schools is like a sport credit that
Yeah.
will give you the sport credit. It's just not as much as a commitment, but you're still going out and having
Yeah.
a good time. And some
Oh,
kids were like on the golf team, but still were on the bass fishing team. I'm pretty sure 3 of our competitors that we had during the competitions were like on the full time golf team. So it's definitely
yeah, that's
something like if
awesome.
you're already
Doing on top
playing
of it.
another sport, it's definitely something that it's manageable to do both and you can definitely work on it. And it's just a good experience to get outside and not such a pressured physical environment.
Yeah. That was my big one of my biggest college regrets is me and a couple of the guys I went to UVM with, and we tried to stand up a bass fishing team,
Yeah.
and we just couldn't. Like we got caught in the bureaucracy of it and
Yeah.
just couldn't get it done.
Yeah.
And I
No,
was
just
actually
do it.
what's that?
You just have to do it. Just
And
bring it
that's what it
up,
was. And
do it.
we couldn't get the people, like we needed to have like X amount to be an SGA club, and like we
Yeah.
couldn't get the support, and it was so frustrating.
Yeah.
But those guys are all doing great one rights for on the water, and
Oh, that's awesome.
they're all doing all right.
Good.
But it's one of those things where it's like I was doing some like high school looking around CUS pages, and
Yeah.
UVM had an Instagram page that they stood up a fishing team.
Oh my
So I reached out to those guys. I didn't hear back from them. It sounds like they haven't been active for a few years, but so I was gonna try to get one of them to come in and do the
Yeah,
college high school.
that'd be
But
cool. Yeah, no, I
yeah,
think it's definitely an important thing and just don't overlook it. Like that's totally a normal thing that kids should want to do. So if you want to do it, you should totally do it because there are other teams and you can do it. You'll
yeah,
have people to
100%.
compete against with and you'll be surprised about how many kids actually sign up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that's all I really got for you.
that's fine. That's good.
Okay. You got anything else you want to add?
I don't think so. I don't.
Where can we find Stowe? Do you guys have like Instagram, YouTube?
Yes, the kids have an Instagram.
Cool.
On the YouTube, I should suggest that they make a YouTube account
I'm
because
telling you, if
that
you
would be
can,
amazing.
I don't know how it works with parents and all that, but if you could do like them doing like high school welcome to the day in the life on the
I will
water,
I will have to film one of those.
that
I
would be
can,
fun.
I'm sure I can get parental permission.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
obviously with
but this is a public
mom.
account and the kids posted
Yep,
it, so
that's
I'm
fine.
pretty sure you can look at it. Wait, I'm trying to send it to you. I just sent you their Instagram.
Awesome. Here we go.
They need to post more. I will get on them about that.
Yeah, Stowe bass fishing, couple periods in there. Stowe
Yeah.
is in Stowe, Vermont with an E. Um, Check them out. New team this year. Had a really good finish at their end of the year derby.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like we mentioned earlier, right? This is an easy way to support your community, easy way to support the fishing community. If you're around, be better than me and donate your time this year.
Guys, be better than Colin because
Be better
he
than
didn't help
me.
us out that much, but
Uh,
you guys can.
yeah, so it sounds like there's plenty of opportunity. And
Yeah.
if you're curious, if your community has something like this, just ask. It's pretty easy. I've done a bunch of Google searches on teams around me. You throw it right into Google and they pop right up. So,
Yeah. It's on the
um,
news. There's articles.
yep.
It's a great time. It's definitely something everyone should get into.
So great way to get involved. Um, please reach out, support these kids. This is a great way for kids to just go be kids.
Hmm.
And there's a lot worse things out in the world they could be doing than
Yeah.
going on a boat for 8 to 10 hours with some supervision and some other people and making friends. But thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. It was so much fun.
Appreciate you. And we'll do it again soon.
Yeah. Sounds
All
good.
right. Peace.
Bye.